Good morning and welcome to Across the Arts. I'm Patrick D. McCoy, and thank you for joining me for this encore presentation of the King of Instruments series, celebrating organist J. Reilly Lewis on his birthday. You know, he was a beloved figure here in Washington and around the world for his contributions, particularly to the music of Johann Sebastian Bach. Today, I am revisiting a wonderful chat that I had with the maestro when he was preparing to perform the Poulenc organ concerto with the new Orchestra of Washington. I want to share that now, and then at the end, I will come on the screen and talk about some more arts events that are going on around the world, and particularly commemorating other birthdays, including the birthday of legendary soprano Jessie Norman. Let's take a listen.
Good afternoon. This is Patrick D. McCoy, the African American voice in classical music, and I want to welcome you to this very special edition of the King of Instruments. Today we're joined by the esteemed organist, Dr. J. Reilly Lewis, who is the founder of the Washington Bach Consort, which is currently in its 35th anniversary season. In addition, he is also the director of the Cathedral Choral Society. Dr. Lewis is a native of Washington, D.C., and he's here to join us as he talks about his special performance with the new Orchestra of Washington, which is one of D.C.'s most exciting new orchestras on the scene. Please welcome Dr. J. Reilly Lewis. Good afternoon, Dr. Lewis.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. It seems like I run into you all around the city, whether you're conducting or playing the organ. We always see each other.
That's what I love about you, Patrick, because you're out there spreading the good word and supporting so many worthy enterprises in our city. So it's always a pleasure to see you and to speak with you as well.
Well, thank you so much. And as I mentioned, you're a conductor as well, and I know that you're busy gearing up for the Cathedral Choral Society's performance of the Duraflay Requiem. But I want to just talk to you really quickly about your appearance with the Now Orchestra, the new Orchestra of Washington. Tell us about your performance with them coming up on October the 28th.
Well, I'm very excited about this. I heard their debut concert last spring, performing Copland's Appalachian Spring, and I was just so impressed. I've known their founding conductor, Alejandro, very well. I've been a big fan of his work as a pianist, but I'd never seen him as a conductor in this context, and it was a first-class performance, and it's a wonderful environment at the Westmoreland Congregational Church. It's a beautiful setting, and so it was my pleasure when he asked me to perform the Poulenc concerto. I was happy to comply.
And talk about that piece. What are some of the various colors of the organ that we'll hear that would intertwine with the instrument?
Well, it's, I was musing on, at first, when one thinks of organ concertos or organ symphonies, if you will, the French come immediately to mind because so many of the legendary composers, Vierne and Widor, for sure, would write organ symphonies, even though they were just for solo organ. They were collections of movements, really most of which originated as fantasies, as improvisations, and they were truly symphonic in bringing out the various colors of the organ. But then I started to think about organ and orchestra. And truly, the ones that really stand out, I would say the most brilliant of all is the Jeannin Symphony Concertante. Then there's, of course, the Saint-Saëns Organ Symphony, which we're also performing this Sunday afternoon at the Cathedral, along with the Duraflay Requiem. And then comes the Poulenc. And the Poulenc, like so much of his music, is kind of a miniature. I mean, it barely lasts 20 minutes. It's one continuous movement. It really has a very 18th century feel, if you will. I mean, Poulenc was one of the enfants terribles of the early 20th century in France. And here he really, I think, pays tribute to Bach, maybe even to some of Bach's predecessors like Böhm and Buxtehude, in the way he structured the piece, as I say, as a continuous movement, but with a lot of that sort of Baroque transparency of lines. So it's not at all bombastic. It certainly has moments where the full organ is called into play. But there's a lot of counterpoint, and a lot of the color, I would have to say, in addition to the particular stops of the organ, has to do with the textures that are so unique to this amazing composer. I mean, I'm just so grateful that he also wrote a concerto for harpsichord, and he was very much, I think, sympathetic to and impassioned by earlier music.
Wow. Now, you're also playing the famous Bach Toccata in D minor on the program. And this concert falls right around Halloween. So tell me how you all, well, Alejandro, maybe you could help me with this with Dr. Lewis. The theme of the concert is cacophony. Dr. Lewis, maybe you can talk about the traditional use, I guess, of this piece as a haunting type piece. The Toccata.
Well, they're two irrevocable associations. One, of course, is the Vidor Toccata from the Fifth Symphony, which is always played, or if the host or resident organist wants to keep his or her job, they better play it on Easter. That's sort of a de rigueur. That's a piece that everybody expects to hear at Easter. It's actually a very fine piece. It should be played at other times as well. And the Bach Toccata and Fugue in D minor was really popularized by Stokowski in the Walt Disney film Fantasia. And I think if I could just say a quick aside about Bach, I think the fact that his music adapts so well, in whether it's jazzed or synthesized or Moog swingle singers or what have you, and I would say equally for symphonic orchestra. A lot of the transcriptions that Ottorino Respighi made and Max Reger and various people of Bach organ works are fantastic. But the toccata, all you have to do is play the first note, or the first two notes, I should say, and people immediately know what's coming. And it does inevitably have that association with Halloween. I was even tempted to wear my father's boat cloak, but I may not do that.
We're also joined on the line with one of the co-founders, Alejandro Hernadez-Valdez, and we're also going to be joined very shortly with Regino Madrid. But Alejandro, just talk to me. Dr. Lewis was just sharing about the Bach work. Talk to me a little bit more about this this concert theme. What made you all decide to include the organ?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Maestro Lewis, and hello,
Patrick.
Alejandro. I'm very glad to be here talking with you. Well, we came up with the idea of doing this concert cacophony based on the date. Of course, we placed it on the 28th of October, right before Halloween, and then we started to think about ways to present a fun concert that everyone could enjoy, young and old, experienced or unexperienced in concert going, and also at the same time a concert that would have substance, not just fun but also substance, pieces that were really, really interesting. So we first came up with a big piece, which was the Bartok music for strings, percussion, and celesta, which is one of the masterpieces of the 20th century. Indeed. And a piece that combines, I think, elements very close to what Bartok was trying to achieve with his music. It synthesizes all these elements. The contrapuntal. He was very inspired by Bach in that regard. The harmonic. He was very inspired by Debussy, and also the structural components of the piece, which are very interesting, the symmetry, etc., which was an inspiration that he took from composers like Beethoven. So all these three things are combined into this four-movement piece that also has some connotations of horror films. It was used, for example, by Stanley Kubrick for the film The Shining. It's a great film with Jack Nicholson, and especially the slow movement, which is a depiction of night music, like much of the music by Bartok, much of the slow music by Bartok. And it was used for several scenes in the movie. The movie also used a lot of music by Ligeti and all the other composers, but this has a very strong connotation of Halloween. And then we thought about putting this together with other pieces. We wanted a concerto. So we thought, what better instrument than the organ, with the whole Phantom of the Opera thing, to use with this program than the organ. So we decided to
I'm definitely wearing
contact
my
Maestro
cape.
Luis, and we were so flattered with his decision to join us, and also with his addition of the Toccata and Fugue in D minor.
Wow. Well, just speaking of Dr. Lewis, we have about 2 minutes left with the maestro, because I know you're, again, preparing for your concert. And again, I just want to say, Dr. Lewis, thank you so much for helping me to solve a little problem. I had to post on Facebook to decide how was I going to pronounce the composer's name. Some people say Poulenc and some people say Poulenc. And since you said Poulenc, I will continue to do so also.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. He was from Provence, and I'm pretty certain that is the proper. I mean, it's not like I would flinch if somebody said Poulenc. There's a wonderful book. I think it's called The Well-Tempered Announcer. It's an easy book to get, by the way, for any of your listeners who just want the sort of bottom line on how to pronounce composers' names. I know a lot of radio announcers use it, but yes, that's my understanding.
Again, sir, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us today. And again, we're so excited about your performance coming up on October 28th, 4 o'clock. With the new Orchestra of Washington. Again, Dr. Lewis will be performing the wonderful work by Poulenc and also the famous Toccata in D minor by Bach. Thank you so much, and congratulations on your 35th season with the Washington Bach Concerto, which you're the founder, and your upcoming concert on Sunday.
Well, thank you, Patrick. And again, I want to say thank you in a broader way for everything you're doing to help spread the good news of all the wonderful work that's going on. And I want to also say a word of congratulations to Alejandro for this wonderful new ensemble that he's founded. I look forward to being with you all shortly.
Hey, thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
Take care. Bye.
Again, we were joined by Dr. J. Reilly Lewis, and now we're going to actually bring Regino Madrid on the line, who is among one of the co-founders of the new Orchestra of Washington, who's going to continue to discuss with Alejandro and I about the concert on the 28th of October. Just bear with me 1 second, listeners.
So as you all heard, that was a wonderful conversation that I had with Maestro J. Reilly Lewis. It was just something that was just an enchanting conversation. And I'm going to see, can I bring this down so you all can see me? A little dark today. Let's see. Maybe I'll just do this. So at any rate, that was a wonderful, wonderful interview that I had with Maestro Lewis in regards to his performance with the new Orchestra of Washington. And he performed some organ works, including the organ concerto by Poulenc. But I want to do this because I want to make sure that we had an opportunity to honor J. Reilly Lewis today on his birthday. He was such an important figure to the Washington community. He supported everybody. So if you have been around J. Reilly Lewis, you know that if you were in a concert or he could have just done a concert and he would be right there supporting and just cheering on musicians in the area. And just to close this time of recognition of his birthday, I want to play an excerpt as we close of him playing a live concert at National Presbyterian Church of the Canonic Variations by Johann Sebastian Bach. something that Maestro Reilly Lewis would always do is hold up the score in honor of Johann Sebastian Bach and his music. Many of us look forward to seeing him do this. Again, thank you all for joining me for this special edition of Across the Arts with Patrick D. McCoy. I'm so thankful that you all are here. And today also marks the birthday of legendary soprano, Howard University alumna, Jessie Norman. So today, if you get a chance, would you please consider tuning in to Jessie Norman at 75? We have a little glare today. I'm sorry about that. If you would consider tuning in to Jessie Norman at 75, there will be Facebook Live and also, if I'm not mistaken, on YouTube and other outlets at 6 o'clock p.m. today. This is hosted by Black Opera with baritone Kenneth Overton. It's going to be a evening of luminary performances celebrating the life and legacy of Jessie Norman, on which would have been her 75th birthday. So I hope that you all will tune into that. Then also this coming Thursday, Melody of Art is a special virtual reception hosted by the Coalition for African Americans in the Performing Arts. That will happen at 7 o'clock, also on Facebook Live. So again, these are wonderful things that are going on amongst many others as we navigate this time of COVID-19 and social distancing. Thank God that music is still happening on a virtual platform. Again, I am Patrick D. McCoy, and thank you for tuning in to this installment of Across the Arts with Patrick D. McCoy, the King of Instruments, celebrating the birthday today of J. Reilly Lewis, founder of the Washington Bach Consort and longtime director of the Cathedral Choral Society for nearly 30 decades. For 3 decades, not 30 decades, Lord Jesus. Again, thank you so much and have a great day.